that's
agree.
a good point because,
Yeah.
man, owning your own business and being an entrepreneur, it's stormy. Goodness gracious, and you can't fret when they come. It's,
Yeah, my nephew actually sent me something a while back, which was just a little meme, but it was basically like an entrepreneur's day or business owner's day, and it was, you know, starting off the day like, so glad, I love what I do, this is awesome, and by noon you're on the floor and you're begging for, you know, mercy.
By
1 o'clock you're back on top of the mountain, and by 3 you're back down there on it. So it's just this, you know, huge line of ups and downs.
It's a roller coaster.
You gotta have a stomach for it.
You can't explain it any better.
Yeah.
We talk about that all the
Thick
time.
skin.
The highs are really high, but woo, those lows are really low.
Yeah.
And getting your sea legs for that. You know, the first few months was a whole lot scarier than it is now. Now you're like, all right, we've been on this vessel for a while.
I can ride the wave.
I can ride it. Like,
Yeah.
I got my sea legs. Like,
Kind of find your pace.
You
Right.
find your pace, and you learn that, yes, it might be kind of a scary moment right now, but it'll pass.
Yeah. You guys seem to have, I get the feeling that you have a very good, closing rate as far as with your clients. But are there times when it just did not work out and you're just like, whew, wish that would have worked out?
Yeah. You know, that's, I would say every month is that way. So it's kind of unique because it's a numbers game, obviously, any business in sales or whatever is. But on a typical month, we'll see anywhere from 3 to 8 clients. So when you think about that in general, the numbers really aren't that big. But we average probably about 28 to 30 referrals to get those 3 to 8 actual clients.
Yes.
Okay.
And a lot of times it's wading through, you know, somebody that's not a fit, and maybe they need to go to a higher level of care, or you know, the kids really want them to move, but mom is like,
I'm not having
this is
it.
where my days will end.
Yeah.
And I'm never going anywhere, and there's nothing you can do. And a lot of times there's a lot of kind of chaos in what we do too, because we get a lot of referrals. Nobody plans for this transition. It's not like you wake up one day and go, I'm ready to move to assisted living. Let's sell my house and get rid of everything I own.
Yeah, that's probably
move.
very rare.
So
at this point.
A lot of times we get that phone call from the hospital that says, you know, mom fell, her dementia progressed more than we thought it would, and now the hospital won't discharge her home. She's got to go somewhere with 24-hour supervision. And you make those happen in 24 to 48 hours. So you're taking, I fell, I've been in the hospital for 2 weeks, and now in 2 days I have to decide where I'm going to live, and I can never see it. You have to trust us and the adult children or the spouse to make those decisions so that chaos portion of it. You know, we may go 3 weeks without the phone ringing, and then all of a sudden 5 clients at one time, and they all have to move this week.
Wow.
So then you have that chaos, and you get through it, and then, like I said, you go another 2 weeks and the phone doesn't ring very much, and then all of a sudden there's that huge explosion of clients. So and sometimes it's different. There's been months where we started the month with a bang, and you kind of rode that wave all the way through and had just a huge month and did better than you ever expected. And then you followed up with a slow month because it seems like everything just packed right into the month, and then the next month there's nothing. So it's definitely very up and down. And you know, Wayne came on in February, and he come in right at the perfect time. Like the wave was going up, there was this flow of people coming in, and he's like, I don't know how you guys do it. My head's spinning. He's been in this industry for a long time.
Oh, for real? Oh, wow.
He knew what he was doing.
But
this is a little different when you're not working under corporate.
Right.
So
he's like, this is kind of chaotic.
Like, man, I feel like I'm at work for 2 hours. Like the day's flying by. I'm getting phone calls at 8 o'clock at night. Business is great. And then about 2 months later, we started hitting into the summer months, and things started to kind of, everybody's on vacation, and none of that
Slowing
stuff
down.
is going on.
Yeah.
And he's like, do I need to find another job? Like, I got to pay, you know, bills. So it's, now we're kind of helping these the 2 new team members learn, like you said, their sea legs, and figure out that pace, because sometimes it's pretty vicious when you're again, no paycheck coming in, and it's been
Yeah.
20 days since you had a client
Right.
to work with.
Yeah,
You kind of
Uh-huh.
go, oof, what do you do?
You think about all those
Yeah.
pirate movies and whatnot when they're out there on the ocean and there's
Yeah.
no wind, and what are you going to do? And you're just sitting there whittling
Yeah,
away
yeah, uh-huh.
because
Right.
there's nothing to do. And I think
Then you
with
get a hurricane.
Wood
Right.
carving, and then, yeah, for sure.
120-mile-an-hour winds, and and I
10-foot seas,
Yeah.
20.
And I think we've also learned what to do during that time to make that productive.
Yeah.
To work on those relationships. Summer's slow in Gainesville, and I think all of Florida. We do have snowbirds here,
Yeah.
and you've got a lot of our business comes from healthcare, and that's something that we've decided this year. Okay, well, we need to broaden out. We need to get into the community more. In theory, nationwide, 15% of the referrals come from healthcare. Our numbers are way different because we had those relationships. And so like Jeff said, we're getting those calls. But we're now starting to see a little bit of a change on that. We're getting a lot of clients where the adult children live out of state and are flying in.
Yeah.
And we're having to meet them at the community to tour. Like, we've already had the discovery and the discussion. We've already gotten the paperwork that's needed from the doctor so we can get a better idea. But we haven't met mom or dad or the
Right.
client.
Yeah.
We're taking all of this information, and then they fly in, and then we all meet and do the
Surprise,
tours.
you're moving.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we've done a couple of those. Surprise, you're moving, and they show up, and we
Oh,
kind of
really?
help. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Those are usually
Fly in,
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
pop in,
The
inform
kids.
mom
Yeah.
and dad it's time to go, and
Man.
here comes the move, and they're gone by the end of the week.
Oh.
So it's pretty common.
What
So-
area?
And typically, if there's a memory care issue
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's
And
it's
that's
not
different.
safe.
What
Right.
area do you cover?
So basically, the Florida Georgia line down through
I-4.
Marion County.
Okay.
So Citra, is it
Citrus.
I can never get that right. So
Citrus.
Citrus, Marion County, so kind of that I-75 corridor.
Uh-huh.
And we do go over into the Panhandle some,
Mm-hmm.
but it's kind of a 60-mile radius from Gainesville in pretty much every direction. So
Okay.
St. Augustine, coming this way over to the coast as
Yeah,
well.
that's a big area.
It
Yeah.
is.
Yep,
It's
it's
a
a
big
big area.
footprint.
Yep, yep.
But a majority of, I'd
That's
probably
nice.
say 75 or 80% of our business is Alachua County, Lake City,
Yeah.
kind of everything in between.
Yes,
So
yes.
we are in Ocala. We'll actually be hiring somebody to run that market and expanding into a second office. But we haven't put a timetable on that quite yet. It's all about finding that right person that we trust. And,
Right on.
so we're down
When
there a
it's meant
couple
to
days a
be.
week and hitting all the marketing events and stuff, just kind of scouting for that person that we think is going to be the right fit.
Yeah.
So
Have you learned this? Like, were you able to follow someone's story of doing what you're doing now, or is it like you're writing
So
the
Jeff
book?
had this dream.
Yeah, so
Literally.
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 had
Literally
this
dream.
dream.
So no one else is like,
So
I
there's other
want
companies
to be a
out there.
photographer, but yeah, there are other people.
Yeah.
I had
Yeah.
5 mentors, but yeah, so.
So there's a bunch of companies
Man.
out there that are franchises.
Uh-huh.
So you can buy into the franchise. They provide all of that corporate support and all the pieces to it. Just when I started running obviously the dream kind of changed things a little bit, but I looked at both sides and kind of said,
Right.
all right, Jen, this is going to be, $160,000 to go this route, and we're rolling coins. So, it kind of eliminates option A and
Right.
really, plus I think that the ability to write that story and be in command of the ship where you can say, you know what, I don't want to take that kind of client. Or there's a whole bunch of clients out here that can't afford the traditional options, and there's nobody to help them because the franchise companies won't touch them because there's not enough money.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
we've kind of worked in areas that nobody else does.
Yes.
We do a lot of stuff in the rural areas, which is out of the normal. We've had placements in Mayo, Live
Oh, yeah.
Oak. So you start getting out into places that are an hour and a half out in the rural communities,
Yeah.
and nobody
Yeah.
knows it even exists.
Right.
But if you don't have a certain amount of money, that may be the only option.
Right.
So, it's really kind of allowed us to do our own thing.
Yeah, yeah.
We actually kind of semi-interviewed somebody that would have took over the new area, and she was working for one of those franchises. And I could tell right away that she had that very rigid, if you don't have this amount of money, I can't work with you. You know, I'm not going to spend my time on this, and that's definitely very different from our philosophy.
Yeah.
So we want to be able to kind of give back, because there is a piece to those, I'm going to say, lower income, you know, clients, where because it's government money, sometimes it's involved, we can't get paid. So those are freebies. But you still, nobody else is helping them. So why don't we help them? And again, it just creates that good word of mouth. And then you know, one person tells 3 more, and as many of those as we've done that we didn't get paid for, we've gotten extra clients on the backside that made good business sense. So. But
really,
yeah, we've written the story pretty much from day one. We went against the grain. So
and we've talked to those people that did the franchise, and they're always like, wow, kind of wish I had done it that way. But typically they're also people that buy the franchises that haven't had the experience in the industry.
Oh, really?
You know, between Jeff and myself, and then when you add in Wayne and Erica, I think we added it up, and it was over 60 years of experience in this senior healthcare, which is really amazing, because we're all like 25 years old. So when we add that up, it's really impressive. We started very young.
That's right. Yes.
But you know, we all have different strengths, but they all kind of balance out. So we've all, you know, walked the walk in the assisted livings and the memory care. Jeff's done independent living. I've done hospice and home care, and other stuff that I'm hospice, home care, skilled nursing facilities.
You got to count. She ran out of toes.
So you know, we've all had, you know, Wayne was actually my mentor when I first got into assisted living. I like to say it was the first time Jeff got me to jump off a cliff with him. I had no interest in being an administrator for an assisted living. It never even occurred to me. And out of the blue, Jeff called me. He likes to call me a lot and drop these things on me. Hey, I just started at this building and they need an administrator. Why don't you come do that?
Pretty good salesman.
He's a very good salesman. Because my first answer was, why would anybody want to do that job? It's 365 days a year, 24/7. Like, that sounds like a lot of work.
3 days later, she'd accepted.
You know, and so when I started, Wayne, who's now on with us, was my mentor. He was running an assisted living for the same company in town. He'd been doing it for a long time, and before that, he'd run doctor's offices and home cares and had all this experience. And so how great was it to come back full circle and back in February and say, hey, you were my mentor, and now I get to give you an opportunity to come on with us and help us grow. And you know, the wealth of information he has to offer both us and as well as the families is just tremendous. So we've been very fortunate from that standpoint.
And we've been able to keep an atmosphere that's really light. Obviously, you know, we pick it back and forth, and everybody says we're like brother and sister, but you know, it's fun to have that atmosphere where, you know, Wayne likes to put poppets in rooms so it surprises her when she comes through.
He puts it in the bathroom.
You know, there's kind of like this prankster joke mentality where we just keep everything light. We have a lot of fun, but we get a lot of work done. And it, you know, I think it helps with production when you can kind of cut loose and have that atmosphere in the office too.
That is really cool.
Well, I've been there a few times and met with them a few times, and it's a homey slash, I mean, it's professional, but it's also, you walk in and you feel, you know, it's down to earth. And so it's nice.
Thank you. That's what we were going for.
That's cool. That's cool. So, and that's a very interesting point of being like helping the mentor to help you out. Like, you know, that's something. I don't like that dynamic we haven't had on the show before, as far as someone who was able to help someone who had helped them come up, and now they're in a different point, don't want to kind of take on as much, you know, day-to-day running. They're all right with like, okay, you take control, take the wheel, and I'll do my thing. But I have this wealth of experience also to give still. That's cool.
Well, you know,
good person to have on a team.
Being an administrator, again, is 7 days a week. So Wayne was working 7 days a week, sometimes 12, 14, 15-hour days.
That
is
a lot.
It's a lot. And he's got young children that he actually wants to spend time with. Imagine that. You know, I mean, like that's the whole, you get this short period of time with your kids.
Yes.
Why waste that time working somewhere else where you can do just as well and be able to. I mean, his first couple of months, he got to go to every lacrosse game, every baseball game. It was, because we do work. Like Jeff said, the phone will ring at 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. And sometimes it starts at 7 in the morning. Yeah. And it's Saturday and Sunday as well as Monday through Friday.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. When you need something, you need it right then.
When you think about it, you normally don't deal with stuff like that at work.
Right.
So those Saturday and Sunday calls are inevitable because that's when that person's home. They've got time to kind of decompress and figure out what they're doing and start making those phone calls.
Right.
So, yeah.
So we find that we have that balance finally. Whereas, yes, we work and we care, and my kids know if the phone rings, I got to get this because that's what's supporting all of this. But I still get to spend time with them. I'm still having dinner with them at night, and when there's an event or something going on. My oldest just graduated high school, and I was like, all right, I'm out for a couple of days because we got family coming in. We're planning the party. Wayne got to go watch the baseball
Dodgers game.
He's a huge Dodgers fan and got to take a few days off in the middle of the week. So for us, it's about finding that balance. And so to be able to say, hey, Wayne, you want to keep working those days, or hey?
It's a big difference when it's from like working and having to be at a place and work, then, okay, I'm at my son's baseball game, but let me step away over to the side here for like 5-10 minutes.
Right.
On the fence, make that phone call.
Yeah.
I'm still watching the game. I still know what's going on.
That's a big difference, and missing it completely.
And I think that's so invaluable. I mean, to love what you do and then do it in your time frame.
Yes.
So that you can spend that time with family, because you don't have them that long.
Yeah.
Really, that's the biggest rule: is if the phone rings, answer it.
Right.
As long as we're doing that piece of it, this business, the worst thing you can do is let the phone ring and call them back 2 hours later.
Yeah.
Because by the time that happens, they've already gone on to call in the communities and everything spirals.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So when the phone rings,
they need you.
Grab it. There's plenty of times I'm in the grocery store and I look down and go, that's work.
Yeah.
And I head out to the car, take my notes, and go back in and start shopping again. Just because I know that if I wait till I'm done with that, we could lose that client.
Yeah, you got to strike while the iron's hot.
Absolutely.
Especially when they call you, you got to.
Yeah. For sure.
And when they finally get to that point, they realize, wow, things are serious enough that they've made that call. That's the hardest part. It's making that first phone call. So to be there for them when they make that call and they know that they can call and you'll answer, to me, that's where the trust starts. I know that when I'm going to call you, you're going to answer. And Jeff kind of talked earlier how we stay with them. And we get those calls even 2 weeks after. We had one, I think he'd been there for about a month. He'd been in a memory care. And she called and said, I just don't know if this is the right fit. Well, walk me through it. Talk to me about what's going on. And every disappointment, every argument, everything comes down to expectations and communications. And the communications is expectations. So getting everybody on the same page and making sure that both the client, the residents' expectations are the same as the building and both. That's all it took. It took us talking it through, and then we called the administrator at the assisted living that her husband was at and said, hey, here's what's going on. Here's her perception. Can we get everybody together and talk about it? After that, everything was perfect.
That's cool.
So kind of helping with that. And again, that's that trust. Hey, Jen, I really need to talk to you about this. Have we done the right thing?
But it's that differentiator, too, because like those franchises that we talked about, they're not going to do that because she's been an administrator of that building. She knows what that executive director, what's going on. She sat in that seat. So when she makes that phone call and puts it in terms that the administrator understands, it opens up that communication and puts everybody on the same page. But if she would have picked up that phone not having any experience and said, this family's upset, this is what you're doing wrong, this is why, that comes across way different, and you can't have those discussions. So, a lot of times when things go wrong on the other side, it's, well, I can move you to another community, whereas we really try to save, we try to save that whenever possible. So.
It's still being an option, but you can save it. So you gotta have that. It's like you can play that line. You can walk that line.
Sure.
Absolutely.
And if the community hadn't stepped up and hadn't talked to her and said, okay, we didn't understand this, or you didn't understand that, and get on the same page, then I told her, absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll get back in the car with you. We will go back and we will find a better place. But, let's really look at all of our options first, where you're at. Because it is a disruption to move somebody, especially someone with cognitive deficits. Every time you move them, you're going to see a decline. And sometimes it's temporary and sometimes it's not. And so at the end of the day, when we started this, Jeff's and my philosophy was, we'll take care of people and they'll take care of us. So again, whether we're going to get reimbursed for that one, whether if we're doing the right thing, then that's all that matters. And we wanted to, how do I put it? I want to do good while doing well. Yeah, do well while doing good, something like that. Makes sense in my head. And so following that philosophy, as long as we stick to that, things always seem to work out.
Do you guys feel ready for like the next level of growth, or like?
I think while we were outside in the hallway, she was making a comment. I need a garbage can. And just that growth, like the butterflies. So we were talking about kind of some of the next steps and stuff like that. And there's some pretty big plans in the works. Nothing I can really go too far into, but we definitely have some big opportunities coming up, and we're going to try to seize those. And that's, as long as it's a smart business decision. I decided a long time ago that you're always better if you surround yourself with people that are better than you are. So, there's so many things she can do that I can't, that Wayne can do and I can. So, I think we've got the team in place to tackle all of that. And the neat thing is people like Wayne and Erica, as we grow, will be those mid-level managers. So they'll start kind of filtering in and mentoring the next level as they come. And then as you grow again, it'll just continue to build, and Wayne and Erica will kind of continue up that ladder with more and more responsibility as we grow. So it's pretty cool that we were able to add those as our first two people, so the foundation is there. And that's allowing us to kind of work on some different projects and some pretty cool things that we're trying to do, and that foundation's already there. So but
the fact that, if you had asked us a year ago, if you got to a point where you could grow, who would you bring on? Those would have been the two that we identified. So the fact that, again, we followed this path and it just happened. We didn't go looking for them necessarily. It just happened, and when we saw the opportunity, we took it. And that's kind of where we're at now, is we're seeing some additional opportunities on the horizon, and it's that, all right, if they just keep getting put into our path, we're going to take the opportunity and make the most of it. And I think at the end of the day, this is what we want to retire doing. Is taking care of people, helping them through what can be a very overwhelming transition.